Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. We might not have to wait until 2026 for news regarding Warner Bros. Discovery's split, as recent reports have indicated that Paramount Skydance is preparing a bid to buy Warner Bros. Discovery right now. They're not waiting for the merger to happen next year like Sony was reported to be doing. They want Warner Bros. Discovery and all of its assets, including all the linear cable networks. I find this to be rather interesting for a multitude of reasons. First and foremost, if you guys recall back in December of 2023, that's when initial reports started coming out that Paramount was actually discussing a merger with Warner Bros. Discovery. And at that point in time, I remember being a little bit confused by it because Paramount as a company was approximately $15 billion in debt, and Warner Bros. Discovery had a boatload of debt as well. I don't remember what the exact number was at that point in time. I remember thinking to myself, well, if you do simple math here, the current debt as of June 2025, let's just use that as our barometer. Paramount is at $15.51 billion worth of debt as of June 2025, and Warner Bros. Discovery is at $35.6 billion worth of debt as of June 2025. If we do some simple addition, that's over $50 billion worth of debt that this company would take on if this merger were to happen, which is why I think Paramount at the time, or why I thought I should say, they were exploring a different merger, a merger with Skydance. The Paramount Skydance merger has now happened, and apparently that is not precluding them from still going after Warner Bros. Discovery, as reports have come out over the past few days, as I indicated before, that Paramount Skydance is preparing a bid to buy Warner Bros. Discovery, which would create a very confusing company name when you think about it. What is the company going to be called? Paramount Skydance Warner Bros. Discovery? That's a bit of a mouthful to say, but apparently that is what is happening right now behind the scenes. I find this all to be rather interesting and rather surprising, quite frankly, because I've been saying a lot lately that, mid-2026, when the split between Warner Brothers and Discovery happens, and we have the two separate entities being Warner Brothers with all the studios and streaming, and Discovery with all the linear cable networks, a buyer was going to come in and buy Warner Brothers, right? We heard rumors that Sony was interested in buying Warner Brothers. There were rumors years ago, I believe in like 2021 or 2022, way back then, that Comcast was interested in buying Warner Brothers Discovery. When it came to Sony, they only wanted the studios and streaming, which is why this split was going to happen. They were going to put most of the debt into Discovery Global. They were going to have Warner Brothers be this very lucrative company for someone to buy. I find it rather odd that Paramount Skydance is willing to take on the entirety of Warner Brothers Discovery right now, including all of the debt, including all of the linear cable networks. If you had to ask me as to why that is the case, I think probably what is happening right now and what Paramount Skydance is trying to do, I think they realize that once this split happens, there's going to be a lot of players involved when it comes to Warner Brothers. Just off the top of my head, and some of these have been reported on, some of these haven't been reported on, just some speculation here. I could list to you 4 to 5 companies right now that I think would be all over Warner Brothers once this split happens. Number 1, Sony. Comcast has been linked to them in the past. Those two companies have both been linked to them. I think Apple would be all over Warner Brothers to bolster their Apple TV Plus library. If you guys don't know, they actually do partner with outside studios, and Warner Brothers is one of their partners that makes Ted Lasso, so I think that would be something that Apple would probably look at. I think Disney would at least explore the idea of buying Warner Brothers, and I think there are plenty of other companies out there that would explore buying Warner Brothers. So I think Paramount Skydance probably views this as, well, we're going to have a lot of competition to buy Warner Brothers once this split ends up happening. What if we get out ahead of it right now and tell Warner Brothers Discovery, hey, forget about this split, forget about all this happening that you have planned, forget about putting all the debt into Discovery. We want everything you own, and we will buy it all off of you right now at a premium. I think that does a lot of things. Number 1, it probably gives Paramount what would end up being a better deal for Warner Brothers because they're taking on so much debt. I think also, too, it gives them a leg up above the competition. As I said before, they're getting ahead of it. They want this really badly, and they're really being persistent in trying to pursue it. The only thing I'm kind of curious about, the 2 things I should say, which one of them I brought up earlier in the video, is that number 1, what are they going to do with all these cable networks then? Because as we could see, Warner Brothers Discovery was very okay with shafting them off to the side and having them, basically become part of a shipwreck in the Discovery brand, because they're putting all the debt into Discovery. They're not going to recover from that, I don't think. I think that would probably be a very interesting company to watch out for that's going to struggle and most likely go bankrupt over time. I'm curious, number 1, what do they want to do with all these cable networks? I really do think it's just, at the end of the day, if we can get Warner Brothers Discovery, we'll we'll figure out what to do with the cable networks. It's not really important to us. And number two is, as I said before, I gave you the numbers with their debt, and that's why I didn't think this merger would happen back in 2023. The same issue still persists today. As I said before, Paramount, as of June 2025, is $15.5 billion in debt. Warner Brothers Discovery, as of June 2025, is $35.6 billion worth of debt, something around there. So again, the whole debt thing is still going to be a huge issue here, but what different outlets are reporting and why this makes sense for both companies is because they are both kind of the mid-tier of streaming right now. They're not the Disney Pluses or the Apple TV Pluses of the world. They are Paramount Plus, HBO Max, both of which are, decently sized streaming services, but they're not on the same level as something like Netflix or something like Hulu. So this would then give them a juggernaut of a streaming service in HBO Max, Paramount Plus, whatever they decide to call it. I still don't necessarily know if that's the greatest of plans, because again, that's a whole lot of debt that they're going to be jumping into, and I do wonder if they actually have a solid plan to get out of that debt. As we've seen over the past few years with Warner Brothers Discovery, yes, they've recovered about $20 billion worth of debt. I believe they were around $54 or $55 billion when the merger first happened. They have recovered a significant amount of money, but if we look at the company today, they're still not in good standing, right? Is this going to become a bigger mess for Warner Brothers Discovery if this Paramount Skydance merger acquisition happens, or will things actually sort themselves out? Only time will tell there, but from a creative standpoint and in regards to Cartoon Network, given that's the main focal point of this channel, I think this might actually be a good thing for them, quite frankly. I know Nickelodeon has kind of become the SpongeBob network. If you go on Nicktoons, they play SpongeBob 24/7 all day long, every day, which to me is really a shame because I feel like Nicktoons used to have a great lineup of series. I remember they would have Danny Phantom on, then The Fairly Odd Parents another day, and so on and so on. A lot of classic Nicktoons, not just SpongeBob, but that's neither here nor there. But I think from a creative standpoint, if you look at what Nickelodeon is doing with a franchise like Avatar, I think they realize that, hey, we have some properties that are rather popular. We can do things with these series and bring them back in a modern day. Obviously, SpongeBob hasn't ended. They've brought back The Fairly Odd Parents a few times now in the form of a live action series and a sequel series, and obviously the original run of that show went on for a long time. They realized Avatar has become a big thing. They had obviously the original Avatar, The Last Airbender. They had that live action movie. They had The Legend of Korra. Now there's the Netflix live action series, and we're getting Avatar 7 Havens, I believe, at some point next year. I think they would look at Cartoon Network's portfolio and just Warner Brothers' portfolio in general and take a look at what franchises aren't currently active and say, okay, these are some franchises we should probably pay attention to and do something with. And the immediate franchise that comes to mind and is very comparable to Avatar to me is Ben 10. I feel like if Paramount buys Warner Brothers Discovery and owns Ben 10, I can imagine them founding a separate studio just to focus on Ben 10 content, just like what they did with Avatar. There's the whole Avatar studios. I'm sure there would be a whole Ben 10 studios. I could genuinely see that happen. At least at the bare minimum, I can guarantee there will be another Ben 10. They're not going to let this series sit the same way that Warner Brothers Discovery has for the past 4 years. So I am very curious from a creative perspective what they end up doing. Nickelodeon in general has been better than Cartoon Network has been at preserving their older stuff. Remember in the late 2010s, early 2020s, they were bringing back a lot of former series in the form of just like animated revivals or specials or just movies. If you remember, we had that whole Hey Arnold movie. They brought back Rugrats as a CGI series. They've done a lot with some former series, and they do a really good job as well preserving their library and the home media front. A lot of different DVD box sets have come out. So I think from that aspect, we'll see a lot more Cartoon Network revivals, reboots happen. We'll see a lot of these shows get released on DVD box sets. And I think Ben 10 will become a major player once again, as it should be right now. Just the big thing is, how do they handle the debt and how do they get out of the debt? And that's the one concerning aspect about something like this to me. But overall, I think a Paramount Skydance Warner Brothers Discovery merger or acquisition would end up being a good thing for both companies involved outside of the debt situation. The debt situation is the one thing that I'm like, is this really a good idea? Are you guys really going to be able to get out of that much debt? But we'll have to wait and see. Time will tell what happens here. But as of today, as of right now, we know for sure that Paramount Skydance is preparing a major bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. We'll have to stay tuned and see what happens from here on out, but this is definitely something to keep an eye on. Anyways, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. What do you guys think about the fact that Paramount Skydance is planning a bid to buy Warner Brothers Discovery? Are you surprised that they're trying to get ahead of this split like I am? Or do you think it makes sense and they're trying to get ahead of the competition, as I explained earlier in the video? If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from DC Network. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.